So today we are painting the YT2400. It is going to have a blend of kind of a dark red to a lighter red. You can see it's kind of already started. What I did with my airbrush, there's some dark spots over here and not as dark over here, but we're going to blend it. First we're going to come in with this Vallejo red with a spot of matte black, which I've already started here. I'm going to mix these two together so that it does darken it up a bit. If I don't think it's dark enough, I will darken it some more. I don't want to darken it too much because then it's not going to blend right or look like it blends right. And not only that, we're then going to go from a red to an orange. And we're going to be doing a dry brush method. I need to get all of this off, as we don't want it that dark to start. Thank you. Yeah, put that there. Alright, so we'll leave the stand here, but basically we're just going to start dry brushing parts that we want to lighten just a tad. You don't have to go all the way down the model. You can just start a little bit, and you can already start to see, well, actually, hold on. There we go. You can already start to see it's lightening up a bit and blending that way. And this is just going to be our first. I don't really have to worry about these crevices in here because I'm going to go over those later. I don't have to worry about the windows because I'm going to do those separate, which is why you don't really see any of that painted right now. We're going to wipe a little bit off. Make sure we get enough on the brush. I like to use my skin. As you can see, I think that's, honestly, there's no better dry brush method, in my opinion. And you don't want to go too crazy with it. You don't want to jab into it. You don't want to make it too much. And you can already see this is a little bit wetter, but that's okay, because this is a dry brush method, but we're also trying to blend the colors all the way across, because we're going to go from red to orange to yellow. And notice I'm not hitting this side because I want to leave that side a little bit darker. And you might not even see the difference. You might just be saying, well, that kind of looks the same. And that's kind of the point, because you're going to be going in sections all the way across, trying to blend it. And of course, you also want to get the underside because you don't want to leave it. And I like doing the underside because if all of a sudden I give this model away and somebody wants to put a ball in there, that way it can swivel in here, and they want to make it to where you can see the bottom, you know, I want them to have that option. And again, you may not even see the difference, but it is subtle, and it is there. This is a little bit lighter red than what we previously had over here. And we are also going to go over this with some highlights. We're going to go over this with some other stuff. All right, so that's that first part done. We're now going to start moving into the normal red, which is this just pure red. So we're not going to add any black this time. So I do use these generic Wet n Wild ones that you can pick up at the dollar store. They work fine. I'm also going to try these today. These are the Golden Maple dry brushes that I just picked up. These are relatively nice. They have very nice tips. And again, I want to clean off all that excess. So as you can see, that's like way too much. If I kiss the model, I just want it to do the dry brushing. I don't actually want it wet. So you're trying to get off as much excess as possible. And then you're not supposed to use your wet part of your hand, but you can see it goes on pretty nice. So now we go back over again. And we just want to brighten. This may take several passes. It's not going to happen rather quickly, especially when you're trying to blend. And you can already see like some of that edge highlight right there. And you just want to kind of work your way around. You notice that it's not really doing enough. You can try to add a little more. Because again, this is dry brush blending. It's not a fast process at all, but it's also kind of easy. It's not very cumbersome. It's, you know, going back and forth, over and over and over and over and over again. Let me move this over here so I can work a little bit faster. Yeah, see, that's a little too thick, but that's okay because I can come back, dry it off, come back at it again. And I don't really need to worry about the vents either because those are going to be painted their own thing. And see, I don't want that dark spot. I do want the dark spot, so I'm not going to go over it with the red. And just little by little by little by little, you'll keep going and going and going, and eventually you'll see the blend start. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you can just fast forward through and speed it up if you'd like. Maybe even I'll do that in the video. You'll also notice when you dry brush that you'll put your brush in the paint and then you'll go to dry it off and there's nothing on it. That can happen. Yep, you can start to see it right there to where, well, hopefully you can see it to where it's dark coming to light. And you don't have to really concern yourself. You're like, oh, that's not what I want. You can easily just keep going back over it and blend and blend and blend and blend. It's a nice technique. It's slow. And if you need a little brighter, you just keep going over the same spot over and over and over, and eventually it will get brighter. If you want to take a break, let it dry for a minute. You can do that too. You don't have to rush it. And there we go. We're going to go over these because we want this brighter. We don't want the black to really show in these parts, and that's okay. And you can just keep going and going and going. And don't forget, we have the other side too. And you'll even notice the red is kind of grabbing the edges already, making it a little brighter, especially in here. Which we'll go over what we're going to do with that later. With all the edges, it's a really cool effect. There we go. And that's almost the brightness we're going to want, because this is going to shift. I can even go back a little bit, make this part lighter, make it blend a little bit better. Yeah, you can really see it right here to where it's getting much brighter with that red compared to the black. And that's what we want. That's the effect we're going for, except now we got to get it over here. You could do this with an airbrush. I mean, if you have one, if you're really good at blending, I mean, it's just a matter of air pressure, mixing the paint properly, cleaning out your airbrush in between sprays, and you could easily start blending colors especially on larger models. Smaller models, of course, it is harder. But and that's what we want. And we won't forget, we still have to do the underside. Come back here, do this again, come back over the edges. What's funny is, even though you're dry brushing, you still want a wet palette. You'll want matte or base coat paints. You really don't want to use watered down paints. You can. It's just, it's a different animal. Oop. Throwing my brushes now. Oh, I still need a little more. We can even come in here again and do it. You can see I'm going different directions, not really sticking with one direction or this. I really, again, I want to blend the whole thing. I don't want certain parts of it to be, yeah, I want that more bright right here. I want it more bright here. I really want the whole thing to keep blending. So in these smaller crevices, I might want to use a smaller brush to dry brush in there. And now we're just going to start doing these parts because we definitely want this brighter. It's going to make it easier. So you can notice the black part here, and I started here. I still want to do the dry brush for the rest because it's going to be harder to try and go in here with my orange. If this is dark, it won't mesh right. It'll look like red, orange, orange, and well, actually, you do want red orange, but it'll look like a darker orange rather than a red orange. So you still want to also dry brush the rest of the model so that it continues to match. Because you notice I started dark red here, moved to red, and we're going to move to orange eventually. What I don't want is a dark red, a light red, a dark orange, a red orange. I want it to completely blend. And I can even see here that there's some streaks. All right, I'll take care of that in a minute. This will take a good amount of paint. Yeah, I'm stopping to do a bunch of drops every now and then. The paints will recede into the brush. I'm going to have different loads each time. And even if I don't think that this blends well over here, I can always go back with the red as well. Make it a little bit lighter. See? And we're getting there. Again, easy enough technique, just takes a little bit more time to get the right consistency. There we go. So you don't have to clean off your dry brush because you're going to be now mixing in real time. So now we're going to do parts of this. And you really want to do almost maybe one part this, 2 parts the red. You can do 3 parts red, 1 part orange, depending on how much blending you need to do. I would recommend mixing with a different brush. You don't want to use the dry brush because then it will get oversaturated. And if you notice it's not the consistency or color you want, you just add a little bit more of whichever color. So I'm adding a little bit more red. So we're going to do the 3 parts to the 1. And here we go. This kind of looks like a pinkish. And go slow. You don't have to rush it. And all you're looking for now is a little bit brighter. And you can go as far as you want this way, basically, but you don't want to go back this way, because that's how you start messing with the blending. We'll come in here with the pink, do this part, and then really hit this part heavy because we want it lighter. And you can already see it. So you can already see that we have that on her. But you can see that nice dark to the red. Now we're heading into like a kind of a pinkish, which we will blend into the orange. We now want to get it to an orange. So we're now going to try for this orange, because I know we used this one, but this orange is lighter, so it'll cause this one to drift more to a pink. This now will coat over this and blend well. And I only know that from experience doing this before on a different model. So you don't always have to use the same colors. You can all of a sudden. Okay. And you can see I'm using the same brush. This one's finished. I'm going to load up with the orange now. Go. And we're not going to go too much deeper. We're going to start here. As you can see the pink there. I could even go a little higher, because I know it's going to make the orange a little bit brighter. And you can already start to see, you're like, oh, wow. That's blending that orange rather nicely. I can even go higher if I want to make it a little bit different, because that pink is still under there. And I can hit it with the orange, and then it's going to blend further. I can even go higher. I can keep going if I want to add that orange. I don't have to. It's just, it's what you're trying to achieve. And I can even go back to the original red here, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's not blending well with this. I need to go a little higher this way and get rid of that black more. So here's the orange. I mean, honestly, I could keep going with this orange if I want to, all the way up to the top, because I've already established the dark parts. Oop, see, a little bit too much. So what I want to do is wipe off my brush and come back in. That's what I'm talking about. If you hit it too hard, now you got that. You can, of course, come back with a red. So I'll even show you how you can fix that real quick. Take this. Again, I don't even bother cleaning off my brush because there's no real orange left. I can dip the red in there. Swirl it around. I'm running out of room on my hand. And then just go over it again. And you'll see it vanish. See? Starting to go away. I can hit it with more layers if I need to. But now I really want to go back and get these parts, because I know I want to make them a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go in here, edge that a bit. Okay. And you'll start to see that black fade a little bit. I don't want to get rid of it entirely, but I can just bring this red a little bit further so that my orange can creep a little bit this way. And then also I can come back in with my red here to fix that blunder with the orange. I may want to go in with a darker red to fix it. Yeah, come back in. See, and you're starting to now see that nice transition from dark to orange. And we're going to keep going. We're going to go all the way to kind of like a yellow like this, all the way to this side. It's going to take a little bit longer, but in the end, it's going to look really cool. And you know what? Maybe I'll do another one of these with an airbrush. If you have an airbrush and you want to try it that way, it would definitely be a lot quicker. Yeah, we can start to see that the black is... There we go. There we are. All right, this right here, I'm not sure. I might have scraped the paint off, which can happen while dry brushing if you're going too fast or doing too much. Sorry about that. Not really sure what this is, so I'm just going to go over it with the red and kind of fix it there. Because I'm not sure if that was some paint that chipped off. It could have. That can happen while you're dry brushing. If you try to go too fast, you can chip the paint off. And there we go. Looks like there's still a little bit left. There we are. We can even come in with a brush if we'd like to try and feather this so it doesn't look as bad. All right, so we're getting there. We are definitely getting there. So now we're going to go back to the orange because I'm liking this dark side now. I can always go back and change it if I'd like. And don't worry about if it's too harsh of a transition in certain spots. And that's only, like, if you are worried about that, by all means, go back and fix it if you'd like. Make it a smoother transition. I'm going to do a different technique to where I don't need it to be as smooth of a transition. And, of course, we'll show you later why that is. Okay, and the reason we're going over with the orange again here is because when we want to transition to the yellow, it's going to be a little bit easier. Because if you just keep it red and you transition to yellow, it's going to take you so many more coats. Oh, and you can see some of the paint chipping off here. We'll just fix it, give it a little touch up. So that will dry, and we can fix it later. Because I am doing this for a video, I am going a little bit too fast. Normally I would be taking breaks, letting it dry, and then... There we go. And letting the paint rest, because again, if you press too hard, you can chip the paint and cause havoc. And that's going to cause you to go back and fix it again and again and again and again. So don't try to keep up. If all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, see, I just chipped a thing right there. Because again, I'm going too fast, too hard. Okay. We're going to go a little heavier with this orange on this side again, because we want to transition to the yellow eventually. And the brighter we make it, the easier it will be to transition. And that's the other thing. The more layers we do with the orange on this side, the brighter it eventually will get. Now you can see that huge transition. Remember, we started with the dark red, and then we went, and then all of a sudden, look at that. Bam! Look at how bright it's getting on that side. Just from one layer after another after another. Okay. We're going to come in heavy here. We're not going to pay too much attention because this eventually will get colored something different, but we can always come in and do it. And I don't mean this part, I mean like the front part with the glass and the cockpit and stuff like that. It's just going to be a little bit different, but it's still going to have this overall theme. And there we go. Look at that orange all of a sudden just shining through. And again, you can go back. You're like, ah, you know what? I didn't like that transition. I wish it was a little bit brighter. So go a little bit deeper into the ship. You know. And then go back again. And the other thing is you really, if you're doing what I'm about to do later in this video, you don't really have to worry about the chips on the edges, because we're going to go back and do edge highlights, which is going to just like erase those. You don't really need to worry about them. Chips in the middle, yeah, you're going to have to fix those, let them dry, and then come back and try and fix it later. There we go. And don't worry about this. Like, now you can see I'm going this way with the strokes instead of really this way, because I want those parts to stay dark just right there. And by that I mean these inner crevices, because now I can hit these edges, and then look, it just all of a sudden, the same pattern that I have going this way is kind of now going this way, and we can fix those later or change them up or do whatever you want. Because again, you don't even have to follow along. You don't have to do black to orange or yellow. You could do blue to purple or green to yellow. You could do whatever colors you want. This is just showing you how to make those transitions just by dry brushing. Because again, you might be one of those people that has seen videos to where people blend the colors like crazy, and you're like, there's no way I can blend colors like that. Well, I mean, I'm just holding the brush and doing this over and over and over and over and over and over. It's not, you just got to make sure that you get the excess off and then keep going. Even if you don't, like, look at how wet that is. Coming in here, getting this back part. Because even if you do get a little too wet, and you're like, oh, that stinks, just keep at it. And then brush a different part. And then come back and get it. And then brush a different part. Because now what you're doing is, yeah, you're dry brushing. It's not maybe perfect, beautiful, but guess what? You're taking the paint here, and then you're dry brushing over here. And then you're taking the paint again here, and you're picking it up, and then you're dry brushing over here and transferring it. So don't always think, oh, no, that's too smudged. We'll keep going. Because now, look, you can see it's mostly dry and mostly transferred. All right. And which way is it? Come on. It's one of two ways. There we go. All right. We're now going to move into the yellow. We are going to switch brushes because I don't want any of the orange in my yellow. So we're going to grab another brush and do it. something a little smaller because I want to get into those crevices a little more. And I will say, you can use a dry brush like this the whole way through if you'd like. These things are $1 a piece. If you do wash the brush, make sure it is bone dry, or else what will happen is the water will seep down, wet your paint, and then you'll go to dry brush and it'll just be straight. It'll look awful. So if you do clean your brush, you have to make sure this is perfectly clean. Because if it is all wet, and you can mostly feel it most of the time, like here's the wet brush. You can see all that water that's in there. And even if I really squeeze it, get as much water out, it's still, you can feel the wet. And especially if you do this, you can feel, see that yellow right there? You might not be able to, but there's yellow because there's still wet paint in there and it's not cleaned, it's not dry. So try not to clean your brushes, keep them dry. So you can use the brush that you didn't clean off as long as there's nothing on it, there's no paint, but don't ever use a wet brush. All right, now we're going to transition to the matte yellow. I love this demonic yellow. I've used it before. And now we're going to start going this way with the yellow. You'll notice that's really wet. I don't want it that wet. So I want to still get off some excess. Because yellow, for painting yellow is one thing. Dry brushing yellow, you're going to notice it really quick. And you can already see the yellow coming through. Okay, you can already see that yellow coming and popping through. So be careful with yellow. Yellow is a very tricky color. Because if you were to paint on yellow, it takes 7 different layers till Sunday. Dry brushing is a different animal. So you can see the yellow already hitting those spots. We're going to edge that. We're going to come around. And again, this is personal preference. I could do this until the cows come home, until this is pure yellow. Until you don't see any more of that red or orange. I can even, again, I can transition back this way, making the yellow go a little bit higher, making it brighter faster. But yeah, you can see how nicely that's come out so far, to where we now have the brightest yellow over here. We have a dark red, and you're wondering how in the heck did we do that? Well, patience. It took us about an hour. It did take a while, but you're going to be so happy with that result. And again, this is a technique that gets you to the next technique. So if you want to learn how to blend, okay, learn how to dry brush. And you'll blend. It'll take you a long time, but you will have beautiful blended models. People ask you, oh my God, how did you do that? Oh, yeah, I did some dry brushing. They'd be like, really? Oh, dude, I'm so jealous. So envious. I wish I could do that. Because again, it's not about what technique you use, or, you know, oh, you use speed paints. Ugh, that's not painting. No, everyone goes, oh, dude, those models look so good. And I know these models come pre-painted. This one was donated to me by Chuck. I'm going to have to ask Chuck if he tried to paint this thing. Or if he maybe added a wash to it to muddy it up. I'm not sure. If AMG or FFG painted this model originally, like, I have questions, because there was like pools over here and here of wash, and I have no idea how they got there. And I get it. If Chuck wanted to muddy up the model, yeah, he did a fine job. All right, and we're gonna just go this way a little bit, brighten up that orange, maybe hit some of these corners. And there we go. We have an excellent transition. I couldn't be more pleased. I could, you know, do without this right here because it is a little bit too dark. I could go back. I don't think I have to. This side already looks amazing. I can easily fix this section right here. Where is it? Right here. I can just paint that yellow. And you're thinking, oh no, that's way too much yellow. It's okay. Add a little water. And then spread it out a little bit. And if it's still too much, add a little water, come back over. Get some of that paint off. It's one technique I'd never really see people try. Oh, that's too much paint. Add a little water, and then scrape it off. See? And then some of that orange comes back through. And then you can go back in here, mix a little yellow with a little orange, and try to go back over it again. See? Look at that. Try to stick it in, and basically go on. You may not agree. That's okay. If you think that's not good enough to cover up that mistake, are you honestly going to notice it? Nope. All right. So, I mean, I'm going to call it there for this video. We're going to continue with this model because this is eventually going to be a prize. I'm either going to give it away at a tournament or I'm going to give it to someone who comments on a video. I mean, the point of all this is you could go as far as you want. I could go over this edge with purple, just the lightest bit of purple, like this one right here, and really put purple all around this edge, maybe around here, up in here, to make those reds really flush and the yellows and the purple. I could go as far or as little as I want. This is all I'm willing to do with this model right now. Next, we're going to start going into these spots, coloring them different colors. And same thing with the windows. We're going to paint those black as well. And these windows up here, we're going to paint those black. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks.